Hi everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome back to 10 Minute Story. Today we're diving into the story of one of the most iconic cities in the world, New York City. Skyscrapers, yellow taxis, Broadway lights. It's easy to picture the New York we see in movies. But how did it all begin? How did a swampy piece of land bought for a handful of coins become the beating heart of global finance, culture, and dreams? Let's explore the incredible journey of the Big Apple, from its colonial roots to the metropolis we know today. Long before Wall Street, Times Square, or the Statue of Liberty, the land that is now New York was inhabited by the Lenape people, Native Americans who lived in harmony with the region's rivers, forests, and wildlife. They called it Lenapehoking. Everything changed in 1609 when Henry Hudson, an English explorer sailing for the Dutch East India Company, sailed up the river that now bears his name. The Dutch saw opportunity, especially in fur trading, and by 1624 they established a settlement called New Amsterdam. And here's one of the most famous stories in urban history. In 1626, Dutch governor Peter Minuit purchased the island of Manhattan from the local tribe for goods worth about 60 guilders, often translated into today's money as around $24. A bargain? Maybe. But also a cultural misunderstanding. Ownership of land meant something very different to the Lenape. In 1664, the British sailed in and took the settlement without much of a fight. They renamed it New York in honor of the Duke of York. From there, the city began to grow rapidly, becoming a melting pot of languages, religions, and customs. It wasn't just a colony, it was a symbol of the diversity that would define the American experiment. By the 1700s, New York had become a key trading port and a hotbed of revolutionary ideas. It played a significant role in the American Revolution, both as a battleground and as a strategic point of control. George Washington famously retreated through the city, and later returned in triumph after the British evacuated. The 19th century was a transformative period. The construction of the Erie Canal in 1825 connected New York to the Great Lakes and the interior of the country, turning the city into a commercial superpower. But the most profound change came by ship. Waves of immigrants, Irish, German, Italian, Jewish, and more, arrived in search of a better life. Between 1892 and 1954, over 12 million people entered the United States through Ellis Island. For many, the first glimpse of America was the Statue of Liberty, gifted by France in 1886, rising out of the harbor like a promise. New York was chaos, yes, but it was also hope. Tenement buildings were overcrowded, poverty was rampant, but the city pulsed with ambition. As the population exploded, the city had no choice but to build upward. The 20th century ushered in the age of the skyscraper. New York became a playground for architectural ambition. The Woolworth Building, completed in 1913, was once the tallest building in the world. Then came the Chrysler Building, an Art Deco masterpiece. And of course, the Empire State Building, completed during the Great Depression, stood as a symbol of resilience, and for decades was the tallest building on Earth. These towering structures weren't just engineering marvels, they were statements. New York was declaring itself the capital of modernity. But New York isn't just about steel and glass, it's about soul. In the 1920s, Harlem became the epicenter of a cultural explosion, the Harlem Renaissance. Writers like Langston Hughes, musicians like Duke Ellington, and countless other black artists transformed American art, literature, and music. Meanwhile, Broadway flourished as the center of live theater. The city became a muse for generations of creatives, from F. Scott Fitzgerald to Jay-Z. Museums like the Met and the MoMA, institutions like Carnegie Hall and Lincoln Center. New York wasn't just building tall, it was dreaming wide. The 20th century was a roller coaster ride. The city thrived, suffered, and reinvented itself time and time again. During World War II, New York became a manufacturing hub and a strategic base. After the war, it became the headquarters of the newly formed United Nations, affirming its role on the world stage. But the city also faced darker times. The fiscal crisis of the 1970s, rising crime rates, and the AIDS epidemic that devastated communities in the 80s and 90s. And yet, even in hardship, New York remained a beacon, a city that never gave up. On September 11, 2001, New York City was forever changed. The terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center took thousands of lives and shocked the world. But even in tragedy, the city showed its strength. The recovery was slow, painful, and ongoing. But today, the 9/11's memorial and the new One World Trade Center stand not only as reminders of loss but as symbols of resilience and unity. New York's heart was wounded, but it never stopped beating. Today, New York City is home to over 8 million people speaking more than 200 languages. It's a global capital of finance, Wall Street, fashion, Fifth Avenue, media, Times Square, and diplomacy, the UN. It's also a city of contrasts, luxury and poverty, innovation and tradition, chaos and serenity, if you find the right park bench in Central Park. From Brooklyn's booming art scene to the high-tech developments in Hudson Yards, from bagel shops to Michelin-starred restaurants, New York remains a microcosm of the world. No other city has been filmed, painted, or sung about more than New York. It's practically a character in itself. From Breakfast at Tiffany's to Spider-Man, from Frank Sinatra's New York, New York, to Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind, the city lives in our collective imagination. New York is the dream that keeps people moving. The city that tells you, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. From a small Dutch trading post to one of the most influential cities on Earth, the story of New York is one of transformation, resilience, and diversity. It's a city that welcomes, challenges, and inspires. Whether you're walking through Chinatown, crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, or standing in Times Square with lights flashing all around, you're not just in a city, you're inside a living, breathing story. And that's why New York will always be more than just a place on the map. It's an idea, a symbol, a dream. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like, subscribe to 10 Minute Story, and let me know in the comments. Have you ever been to New York, or is it on your bucket list? Every day, a new pill of curiosity. See you next time.